Hello and welcome to a grand final edition, a very, very happy edition of To the Final Bell. We are brought to you by Lake Imaging, and a huge thank you to Lake Imaging. They've been supporting us all year on the podcast. They're celebrating 20 years of radiology services in Victoria. Lake Imaging are proud to be the preferred medical imaging provider of our beloved Cats at the Geelong Football Club, but it is now official. The Cats are in the grand final, taking on the Swans at the MCG this Saturday. We've got the regular team together now, the good luck team, because we've had it right throughout finals. Tommy Lonergan's here, Scotty Gullan's here. First to you, Domsy. How good is that? The Cats are in a granny.
We're in the granny. We're all excited. How good was that seeing? We'll get to it in a minute, Scotty, but you two just gallivanting down there on the oval.
Well,
like it was about you, all about you.
One
two
of us was working,
well,
and
maybe,
one was strutting around like, I'm the last bloke who won this thing. I think he said that about 85 times.
There's been a bit of that the last few weeks.
Cut that out.
Big is he, dude?
Ex-captain.
Scotland, it's lovely to see you. We
Thank
were
you,
down there working because it was the open training session, the media day. I was in amongst the media scrum.
Suddenly with his little shock jock radio headphones on.
Little entourage behind.
That was very good. There was, 5,000 people here. You signed a few autographs and other players came out. You used to love your media days. It was quite well done, actually. The boys had a little chat in the rain and then all done.
You know what I loved too was, so the players trained, everyone's there watching, the media filming, everything like that. And then just before the media then got all involved, all of the players, kids and partners and parents and whoever, just friends, all came out on the oval, had a wander around, a kick of the footy, a chat, a hug. That was really nice.
It was great to see. I was sitting up here watching it and just Hawk in the middle of the ground having a kick with his little kids and it was just a really relaxed, controlled environment. Probably different to previous years when we went through it back there 10 or 15 years ago.
When the doctor ran the show here.
Captain Grumpy.
You weren't allowed on the grass. One of our great stories.
Yes.
That is not true at all. The reason why they are in the grand final is, of course, because of a dominant display against the Brisbane Lions on Friday night. A 71-point victory. A complete performance, Scotty, from start to finish. I know it was tight and there were a few mistakes early and it was a couple of goals apiece. That's preliminary final. But even from the start, and I think of a moment where Lachie Neale gets the very first clearance. It could be going Brisbane Lions' way. Max Holmes, one-on-one, takes the mark, has the composure to wheel round, Dangerfield, great mark, goal. It just felt like they were right on from the start.
No, and you mentioned Dangerfield. We were all sitting here waiting. I don't know whether it's unfair, but Patrick's such a champion, but September hasn't been his best. I think he admits that. And he was just on, and those 2 goals in the first quarter. And you're right. I mean, we were watching it going, their system's working. Tomahawk's missing a few here and there. It'll be fine. And Brisbane were just, they hit that wall that we talked about pretty early.
It was a big wall, wasn't it, for the Lions? Dangerfield's an interesting one. We spoke to him post-game on ABC Radio on Friday night.
Another one of your gigs.
That's right.
And he's got another gig.
And we mentioned that he, in those finals in the past that you're referring to there, it's almost like he tries so hard, he tries too hard, and this desperation. Whereas on Friday night, there was a real calmness about the way he played. He let the game come to him a little bit, but influenced it massively and more so. And he spoke about the fact he'd done a little bit of work with a guy who'd done a bit of mental stuff with the Seattle Seahawks and preparing for games and the way they handle moments in games and not making them bigger than what they should be.
So he's acknowledged. That's what I like. He's not head in the sand, no, I'll be right, I'll just turn up and I'll get this one right. He's acknowledged it.
Yeah, and I think it'll be interesting. I think we've got Shaun Grigg coming on shortly to chat.
We are trying to grab him up from a team meeting, so we think we'll get
grand
him.
final edition. He'll be here.
He'll be here. But it'll be interesting. I think we chatted last week regarding the fact that there was a bit of commentary around both Joel and Paddy starting on the bench, and how that conversation would have went down. And I wonder if that was a hard conversation to have for maybe Shaun. We'll ask him shortly, but how well he took that, and it's clearly been something he's been sort of grappling with over the course of the season. Now he's finally got his head around why they're doing it that way. It's to get obviously Guthrie and Tommy Atkins into the game nice and early, but it seems to have worked. The plan has worked. It's worked an absolute treat, and we've seen it. He's peaking at the right time. 720 metres gained. 700. He just burst out of. I mean, Brisbane weren't great around the clearance, around the stoppage. They just let Geelong do whatever they wanted. But 720 metres gained, Scotty.
Well, and we talked a lot about Lachie Neale. Lachie Neale had one possession in the second quarter.
Yep.
I just can't. And Hugh McCluggage had one possession in the second quarter.
Yeah, Hugh was off.
Now that was Atkins, Cam Guthrie, Joel Selwood.
Yep.
And we saw Vision, in those many shows. They just kept pushing him away. Just go over there. It was a phenomenal effort. We all thought they might play O'Connor. They didn't. And they had a system and it worked brilliantly.
It was, look, I've been we're both massive advocates for Scotty, but the way he coached Friday night, to have Blitzarves do a role in the way he sort of went through Neale, he was ruck, he was centre half back, he was centre half forward. Like, how do you even teach players to do that as a coach? And they did it seamlessly. A number of players went through Neale, and like I said, Blitzarves played a number of different roles. It's got to be a feat and unbelievable, coaching instructions, the way he went about it.
How did they get Tom Stewart free? Tom Stewart, when I saw that, 5 minutes into that game, it's like he's the spare. This is not how you beat Geelong.
Again, a really brilliant move. Reece Stanley was playing as a key defender.
Yeah.
So he was coming back and doing that and freeing up. And it just got the game on their terms straight away. And from that, I think that confidence of everything that you guys are talking about, performances of those really good players, then you had players stepping up and playing the best games of their career.
Let's talk about
Jake Colajasny. Best game he's played for the club, and he's had a really high standard anyway, but he stepped up another gear.
He looked like Usain Bolt there for a while.
Brian Myers, best game that he has played for the club, without question.
We've always known the role he plays, but just the way, the number of possessions. I mean, he's so important to this team.
Then you throw in, until, and we're going to get to it in a second, the injury, but until he got hurt, Max Holmes, he was crucial for the way they played. Tyson Stengel again stepping up. Sam De Koning not being overawed by Joe Danaher. Jack Henry taking intercept
Jed Hughes taking Cameron out.
Yep.
Took him to the cleaners. It was, again, Danger was starring, but they all played their roles. I couldn't believe some of those guys.
And that's been the key ingredient all year, hasn't it, really? They've been just an even spread. You look at the goal kickers as well. 2-1, 2-1, 4, Hawk. Then 3 ones and another a 2 and a 3. So even spread of goal kickers, which is exactly what you want going into a grand final.
One of those goal kickers was my man, Brad Close, Scotland.
Did you talk to him out there?
I don't think I
saw you next to the 45.
Don't you go stirring that up. He continues to grow with the influence that he can have on games. He's so clean.
Well, that's what we talk about, isn't it? Clean.
He drew the footy. What did he end up with? 22 touches and a goal, and yet within it played not a hard role, but a role on Daniel Rich and Kadeen Coleman, and just took away any of that halfback drive because he just embraces great defensive decisions while still being a constant attacking threat. It's such an important role that he plays.
Yep. 5 inside 50s and 2 goal assists on top of his 1 goal. No, he's a key player, and they'll need him to be firing this week.
The one and only.
I had tears, Cameron.
Point. Yes,
and
I know you are friends with Maxie's mum.
I just spoke to the Olympian too. I might have an update, but at the time, we were all crushed.
Max Holmes had been brilliant to that point of the game, has had a brilliant season, was involved in a passage of play where it just opened up the whole ground. He's
ended up with a goal.
Ended up with a goal. And I must admit, so I was working on the night, I followed the play, and it's a goal, and it's what a passage of play. And the eyes dart back to surely everyone's getting to Max Holmes, and then just this realisation that, oh no, he's done something. And he came to the bench, we saw the TV coverage, just was distraught. I put a line straight through his name. It's as obvious a hammy as you're ever going to get. But...
Well, I walked into the press conference. I was doing that for the Herald Sun. I'm like, we're all doom and gloom. And Scott's like, oh, no. And then we go, well, Max Holmes out. That's it. No. We're like, what? Oh, we're optimistic. I trust this man. And he just waffled on as he does. The coach just goes, no. They're telling me he's a chance. And I can since reveal that, he hasn't done his hammy. It's a neurological. You'll know it better than me.
Neurological.
Yep. And he's had that before. And if it's not feeling like that by Friday, they think he can play.
I am reliably told that a few of his teammates have suggested to him now that if it's not a hamstring, that the amount of carry on that he put up on the day is completely unacceptable, and he's not going to be allowed to forget that.
It's funny. They all did post-game interviews going, "Oh, it's so sad." You know, Joel said I hugged him, and then next door the coaches go, "No, it's all good.
He's fine."
Yeah. Well, that would be remarkable. And just put aside the personal thing of just wanting him to play and not having this devastation for him. His importance to this team cannot be understated.
Huge.
He's the speed with which he gets up and down the ground and does that work and can break open the game. It is crucial to a Sydney team that has that element to their game.
Well, he's only supposed to do one lap for the crowd today. Did two. And they were like, "Oh, hang on, pull him up."
Did you see that, Domsy?
Oh, I did see. What sort of gears was he going through, Scotty?
I think
was
it was
he hitting any sort of...
Sure.
His mum claims he never runs that fast. He just runs at the same. No, so Lee Naylor, his mum, was. She's nervous, but she said, "Yeah." He just said, "I'm going to play."
Do you think he will play?
I have a feeling he might. I mean, there's so much love for him. I mean, the flip side is...
How do you even have that discussion? Like if
he's got to trust the kid almost. I mean, if he can't do the exercise, well, then he doesn't play. But if he gets through, you guys have had... I don't think this is a Stevie Johnson pretending I'm okay when he's not, and then he played amazing because he can't jab what he's got. I don't.
No. The soft tissue, he's either right or he's not right.
Yeah.
There's no jabbing that. I think it would be on Friday, Domsy, if he hits top gear and genuine top speed, and now the staff have got GPS data to back that up, plus timings, everything like that. Top speed hits it multiple times and has zero awareness. Well, he's in.
But I desperately want him to play. I think the Cats need him to play, but is that the same as playing a four-quarter game? Similar, like you think of the Collingwood game 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Yeah. You sort of
got to weigh it up.
Chips in. It might come down to the last 2 minutes of the game. What if he does his hammy in the third quarter? Like, these are just the questions I'm sure they're asking the medical team, the other... Like you always said, the good thing is we don't need to make these decisions, but... It'll be interesting, some of the conversations happening downstairs.
It's a good point you make. If the medical staff say, I have major doubts that he can get through the intensity early on in this game, I'm concerned. Well, then you don't play him because you hurt yourself by having to put your sub in and you don't have that backup. But if you said he's 100%, he's completely fine, and now if halfway through the last quarter he is at risk under extreme fatigue of maybe doing a hammy, I cop that because you can use your sub then, and you're late in the game, and Paul Chapman played the rest of the 09 granny with a torn hammy. I'm not saying that's ideal, but it's more if you lose him early, I think, and you're forced to utilise a sub, and then maybe later in the game you need the sub.
Yes,
that's where it hurts.
The other
or lose someone else early.
Is you've got Brandon Parfitt, who we all know is in this best 22. He's just not in. Or you got Sam Menengola, who plays the wing role and hasn't played for a while. But if it's like for like, it's probably Menengola. Yeah. If I wanted someone in, I'd want Parfitt. But does that throw the balance out?
I think on this occasion, if we're just going with a quick little if he doesn't come up, I think Isaac Smith comes up from the forward line, plays on the wing. I think Parfitt comes in, and then it's a choice between Parfitt or O'Connor as your sub or your...
I like O'Connor I think they do.
Okay, well then Parfitt comes in.
Well, they don't tag. They do their group. You don't tag anyone.
O'Connor's got genuine flexibility to play.
He's been a super sub and done it great.
Let's hope Maxi Holmes gets up and there's no need for any of that. Let's cast our eyes forward to the grand final. Domsy's right too. Shaun Grigg's going to join us shortly. We'll get to some of your questions too, and no doubt they'll be grand final related. Cast our eyes forward. Just a couple of little milestones for you, Scotland. You'll love these. First of all, the skipper.
4-0.
About to play in his 40th final, which will break the record.
2 seasons of footy, Domsy.
Wow. For the most
2
finals
seasons
ever.
in September.
Beating the great Michael Tuck, which is a record that nobody thought was ever going to be beaten. I don't think he'll get there. Or maybe he would. Nipping at his heels pretty well is Tommy Hawkins on 30. He'll go to 32 finals.
Well, if he plays 2 more, that's 3, that's 6. Ooh, he's a chance.
He could. I reckon that might annoy Joel if the big fella got him.
That record. How about some of the names on that list, though? This is from Sir Swamp Thing. Joel Selwood, Tuck, Burgoyne, Hawkins, Commentary, Harry
Harold.
Taylor.
I saw Harold today.
Oh, lethal.
Lethal, Lee Matthews, Brewstall, and Shimmer.
Wayne
Down at
Schimmelbusch.
29. That's
Wow,
some
that is good company, isn't
good
it?
company, yep.
Great. So Joel Selwood will go to 40 finals. The other milestone, Scotland, our man, Reginald, is going to game number 250 this weekend. 120 for the Blues, currently 129 for
He'll
the
be
Cats.
dirty that the banner won't be all about him.
Jim,
He'll be dirty.
Jim Steins holds the record for an Irish player with 264. The way the great Reggie is going,
Wow.
he might knock off.
He's got 300
Jim.
in him. Of,
Well, he wants that
Reggie?
contract. Wellesley hasn't quite, or Mac hasn't rolled it out yet, but he should get a
it's coming.
5-year deal the way he's going.
have to be.
What
Have
about,
to
can
be.
I raise the question, which is going to be debated, and Joel won't say anything, but if they win, do you think he'll do a Cameron Ling, Domsy?
As funny enough, I was
You
gonna
weren't
ask
really
Cameron the
harassed
same.
about. You were a bit of a surprise, weren't you?
Lots of people were asking questions towards the
But
end.
it wasn't.
You and Otto were both.
Otto was a big surprise, I
Yeah.
reckon, because Otto.
But he took a few weeks to decide.
Yeah.
Public, then disappeared and sent
Well,
out
they'll
a press
try
release.
to go away for 4 months and come back in June and play 10 games and play that sort of role, which
What's
looking
your
back
gut
sounds
feel
pretty good.
on the skipper?
I think it'd be a great time for him, but only he knows that, whether he's got more left in the tank. But going out on such a high, he's just won, the community. We saw his speech last night.
the Jim
Unbelievable.
Steins Community Award.
Such a great
what-
speech. Really well written speech.
Yes. What else? What else has he got to achieve? But it's going to come down to his call. But I think it'd be a great time. Raising the Premiership Cup, 5 o'clock Saturday. Out she goes. He's going to be a legend in the football club. What better way to go out?
But
It's his call.
But I mean, if they did what they did this year, I mean, he off the bench, missed 4 or 5 junior. I know he could go on, but I think
he
you're
could
right.
go on. He's playing
That's what I
enough
mean.
footy.
That's
He would, if they do win, we're getting ahead of ourselves, he will become the only cat in history to be a 4-time premiership cat.
Wow.
wow.
So he will go ahead of...
What do you think, Ling?
So,
You're in that
You
same
just
position.
spent half an hour with him for one of your cashies.
no, that wasn't a cashy. That was for grand final day coverage for Channel 7.
That's a
Cashy.
No, I think...
What was the vibe? The
No,
mobo?
we didn't even go anywhere near that. It was completely other topics.
Yeah.
I don't know. Joel's such a competitor. It's
That's
whether
what
or
I mean,
not
it'll
he
be-
has that edge to him that he says, yeah, I want to do it all again. Because Joel can't cruise around and just go,
No, I
I'll
agree, totally agree.
I'll get 25 easy touches in a game. He
that's
only
not
knows
him.
one way. So if his mind says, I'm up for all of that again, and the ice baths and the pain and the all the stuff that he puts his body through, go again, because his influence is so unbelievable. But for me, what it got down to was I was exhausted mentally as well as physically. My back was stuffed, but everything that went into just getting up for a week, I couldn't see myself doing that again. I could see myself getting to a point where I could get fit and I could go all right, and I could probably get a kick comfortably against 8 or 10 of the teams, 12 of the teams maybe. But I wanted to be valuable to the team against the very best.
Yeah.
And I just didn't see myself doing that anymore. So if Joel starts thinking like that, that's probably it. Yeah. But if he's got the hunger, I mean, I wouldn't even dare say one way or the other with
No,
him,
I
because
agree.
he'll just grit his teeth and
Yes,
go,
yeah, no.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
He's amazing. So let's hope he does face that choice, because he's holding up a Premiership
That's
Cup. I want to get to a break because I want to get to a couple of questions, and that'll tie in a little bit to the grand final and the lead up. Just quickly, Brownlow, happy Paddy Cripps won it. Doma?
Yeah, he was outstanding, wasn't he? And the way he spoke, I tipped Clary Oliver, but very happy for Cripper. He just looks like a bloke you just want to be around, and what a great leader he is.
I had Tuke Miller as my tip.
Yeah.
I nearly got him there.
you did,
but,
yeah.
I'm very happy I took Geelong to make the granny into Cripper a month ago.
Oh!
At the $13.
Hello.
Thank you. All over. So no, I was wrapped. I was there. It was he deserves it. He's one of those players. He led them all year. I loved it. Loved it.
I thought for a moment that the umpires had stuffed it up in that last game. When Collingwood had won, and if you remember, it was a Collingwood
it
player
was
got the
one
one
point,
vote.
yes.
Then it was 2 votes. Carlton. I thought, they're going to give him 2, which
Yeah.
I think would have
Would have
still
been a
won him
tie.
the Brownlow, but it would have been a tie. I thought he was the best on ground in that game by so far. It wasn't even funny, but They got it
People
right.
who backed him, i.e. me, round 1, he had 30 and kicked 3, got 1 vote.
Yeah,
Righto, you still got it. Don't
I
worry.
know, but I was just saying I was going to be a major protest.
Let's take a break. Let's get to your questions in a second. Welcome back. It is great to have your company on to the final bell, grand final edition, grand final week. We're very excited. We're recording this currently from the boardroom overlooking the ground. The players have just had their open training session, so a very light run through, but building up. Lots of media, lots of fans, and a fantastic buzz around this stadium. And I want to get to some questions now. I am joined by Scotty Gullan and Tom Lonergan, as you all know. This one's from Steve. This one might be for you, Domsy, I think. Oh. Which player was the most laid back in the lead up to a grand final, and who was the most on edge? Well, start with laid back.
The laid back one's pretty easy. Our old mate that wears number 39 was pretty laid back. Actually, if he was any more laid back, he's probably not with us, actually. Darren Milburn is the most just leisurely customer you'll come across.
He wasn't big on that having to get there 2 hours before a game and get all sort of focused and locked in.
But the irony is, like, his good mate Scarlett was there 8 hours before it started.
Yeah.
In the kit,
Was a
wandering
nutcase.
around.
Nutcase.
Absolute. And then the second half of the question, another fellow defender would be the most on edge. I'd say Harry Taylor. He was worse than Scarlett. He'd never go on the bus on an interstate game. He'd never go on the bus. He'd always get a trainer to drop him over 3 hours before, and he'd start his tennis ball drills. And
It was exhausting.
it was. We
Watching
often had a bit of a laugh about it, but it worked for him, didn't it?
What were you? I'm trying to rack my brain. Were you a get stripped early?
I probably went more with the Darren Milburn style towards the end. Probably was a bit cruisier build up, but then I remember you saying right at the end was when I started to really get in the zone. You need to find your zone, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
Right at the end. So you see Jimmy Bartel never got dressed basically until the warm up. So he never got undressed. He just was there, read his record.
What about the ruckman, our good friend, the ruckman?
Oh, there's another.
What did Bradley? I mean, I'm chipping Bradley. Didn't really offer too much until
but he had white line fever though when he got out there.
Yeah, he's the same. As soon as he crossed the line,
he was an animal out there. No, but you're right. He very laid back. His most laid back was during the team meetings during the week.
Asleep.
Where Bomber would know if he was losing the group a little bit, he'd just ask Otto a question. And it'd bring everyone back because we'd piss ourselves laughing because Otto would be having a snooze or like, fat side, Bomber. Say whatever.
Kick it to the fat side.
Or he'd rock up a bit late. He'd sometimes get caught in the toilet at times. He just couldn't get to the 10:30 meeting right on time. So he'd stroll in about 5 minutes late.
Never a worry in the world. No. Shaun poses this one. What is the best way for players to manage pre-grand final nerves, Lingy? Well, it's funny. It links onto what we're talking about. It's actually staying true to what you do.
Yep.
Relaxing with the fact it's a different build-up. So in a normal game, you're at the MCG, nothing's going on. You can go out on the ground X amount of minutes before the game. You're back in for maybe a chat, and then you build up in the rooms, and then you do an in-room warm-up, and then you hit the ground. You do your final, really ready to go out in the ground. Grand final day, that all changes timing because of pre-match entertainment, all that sort of stuff, the anthem, all that. So you need to relax with that. But within relaxing with that different framework of a build-up, you've got to be yourself, don't you, Doms?
You do. And it was hard to probably relax when in 2011 when Meatloaf was just screaming the house down in
Gills.
Just pre-match. I remember walking out and took the headphones out and I put the headphones back in pretty quickly and walked back underneath.
I never went out on the ground to hear Meatloaf. For some reason, I just was chilling. I think I was talking with the docs or one of the physios, just having a chat, not an injury thing. And everyone started coming back and going, ooh, Meatloaf wasn't great.
Must have had a big night last night.
Wasn't at his best.
I missed it all. But you have to be... Have to be true to your own build-up. I think that's the way, because there's a comfort in, even amongst the chaos of grand final week, is these are still the triggers that I like to hit within my preparation. And Harry still wanted to throw his tennis balls up against the wall, and Scarlett still tried to bump over the stadium walls. other guys had to be relaxed.
Yeah.
So the night before, pasta or the same meal, all that, you get...
You stay in Melbourne the
Well,
night before?
two different experiences for me. 2008, it was my first grand final, and I was happy to sort of just go with the flow and what the team was doing. And we stayed at the Holiday Inn, so we went and we had the parade, which was huge, huge, thousands of people, and then went and trained on the MCG, and there was all media around, and then eventually we got back to the Holiday Inn in the city about 3:30, 4 o'clock.
Flinders Lane?
Yeah. It wasn't much to do there. It was... Yeah. Anyway, we end up... A lot of the boys, well, some of the boys end up driving back to Geelong. And I wish I had done that because the hotel, there was people everywhere in the foyer that you could still feel the vibe of grand final. You couldn't really,
hide in a hotel room.
Yeah, you couldn't hide and you couldn't get relaxed. So I remember that was kind of a bit chaotic. And in 2011, instead of staying up in the city, I drove back to Geelong and was able to go out to... I think series, walk the dog like I always do the night before and sort of get in a bit more of my routine.
And did you go up with someone on the day then?
No, always drove up.
By yourself?
Or the better half.
Yep.
Always...
Kimbo didn't annoy you too much?
No, she was quiet that day.
Well, you have the band, Cameron, don't you? You have no one.
I was different. I liked staying up the night before. So all four I stayed up the night before. I'd punch out 12, 13 hours comfortably.
That's right. You're the greatest sleeper ever.
Just get up, quick shower, little bite to eat on the bus, and let's go. Shorten the day. That's what I always said. I don't want to be sitting around.
Yeah.
Shorten the day. Got up probably any time between 10 and 11 in the morning.
That is outstanding.
Gee whiz.
Loved
That's
my
next
sleep.
level, isn't it?
Loved it.
But it does.
It's nice.
It's important to get it right because it's
Yeah.
easy grand final.
Yeah.
These players will have met yesterday and said, "Look, this is what you need to expect." And I'm sure Sal and Hawk and Mitch would be talking about Isaac Smith about how big of week it is and people coming at you. So you've got to get organised really quickly.
Yeah. Organise your tickets early.
Yep.
Know what your week's going to look like. Okay, there's going to be a bunch of media and fans here today, and then we're going to have a really good session on Wednesday where there's not going to be anyone about. We just do it. Friday, they're going to be on boats in the Yarra. It's not normal, but relax with that. Understand that that's all part of it.
Yep, it's acknowledging that it's a different build-up.
Yeah. Louise asks, who is your pick for best on ground? Righto, Scotland. We'll put this one on you. Who are you tipping first of all?
Oh,
to win the
Geelong
game?
will win.
We're going to get to the Swans
Comfortably.
in a second, but Geelong will win. Who's your best on ground? Give us your Norm Smith.
I'm worried that they won't give it to Patrick because he was best on ground in the prelim because this is how they think. Who's on the voting panel?
I don't know. I don't think they release that until after the fact.
My mind goes to Patrick Dangerfield. I'll go again. He'll win the Norm. There you go.
He'll win the Norm.
Yeah, he'll back it up.
Do you want to say anyone, Doms, or you want me to move on to the next question?
I'm going to go with Blitz. I think the role he can play and how influential, and there's traditionally football people on the voting committee, so
yes,
of the Norm Smith. So I think people will realise how big of impact he'll have, and he'll win the Norm.
Cameron?
I'll move on. No, I think it's Stewie.
Yeah. Oh yes, that's a good get.
Yeah.
My wife has a crush on him. I have a crush on him. We love it. He's
You'd
just
think someone
amazing.
would play on him this week.
Matt, now this is where we can get to some good Sydney chat. Domsy, Matt asks, what are Sydney's weaknesses we can attack? Oof. So the Swans have got strengths galore. There is a reason why they're in a grand final. There is a reason why they are the other informed team in the competition. So we can pump those strengths up all we like. But this is a Geelong podcast. Geelong fans listening. What are some of those vulnerabilities perhaps that the Cats can go after to take down the Swans?
Well, I'm just trying to think of some of their weakness. Now, you look at their game against Melbourne, you couldn't have put in a better performance.
They were the
tough,
best
they were
team of
hungry.
that first weekend.
I just wonder whether they are probably a little bit more inexperienced than Geelong. Well, a lot more inexperienced. I'd be interested to know where they sit on the experience ladder, but I reckon it's not high.
Is it 10 under 22?
Yeah. A third of their teams under 22 and under.
And for that reason, I would just say, and you could use this as this could be something that works in their favour. But I think, will they get overawed by the week? That's probably the only weakness I can think of. The other one is Sam Reid being out. Now, Buddy's not.
That hurts him.
He's not, and Buddy really at this point in his career, he's probably a second tall. He's not the main man. He's just not that anymore. So, and he doesn't take the big contested marks like Tommy Hawkins does. So I just watching them against Collingwood, go inside 50. They looked, I think they looked a bit suspect in the air, and given how good Geelong are in terms of College Asney, De Koning, Jack Henry, you keep going on, and what they did in the prelim, I think that's a real weakness where Geelong can really attack.
They're going to have to match them in the contest first and foremost, aren't they? Because Sydney are very good at that, and then they get it to the outside to their runners. Take away their fire starters, and I mean that by a Tom Papley.
Well, Papley has to be quietened, as in told to shut up, because he just...
Papley can do what he likes because he gets
amazing.
them going.
He lifted them. He got them going.
But it sounds obvious to say, take Papley and Heaney out of the equation because, of course, you want to do that. They're very good players. But early on, just erring on the side of...
Totally agree.
Keeping them out of the game so they can't get that energy started.
Because at the midfield, the depths on Geelong... Sydney's got like Errol Goulden played amazing. Like they've got Chad Warner as a weapon.
Rowbottom's got better.
Rowbottom had an incredible game. So there's these no-namers to a degree who had ripping preliminary finals. But I think, grand finals, Geelong's system stacks up right up against that.
Are you expecting Callum Mills to Dangerfield like happened earlier on in the season?
Jeez,
I am.
player.
Yeah.
Got a lot of Brownlow votes too, didn't he?
Best two-way mid in the comp.
Straight away, they like to sort of feel it out a bit, don't they, Sydney? Yeah. Oh, I mean, I think he'd probably stand next to him at the opening bounce. I probably agree with that.
I just want to ask a follow-up question to that. Whose prelim holds them in better stead?
Oh, yeah.
Moving forward, because you got Collingwood's Sydney, which was a close one, emotional.
You guys did the close one before you broke the world record in the granny.
Okay. I'll try and answer this as best I can. At the start of the game, you should be up for a grand final no matter what. You should be physical and hard edge and everything like that. However, sometimes it's just it's a recent memory thing, and you just can sometimes start the next game the way you finished the last game. So Geelong didn't have to be at a high intensity to finish the game. So let's say they're a couple of % off at the start, and Sydney are just... still got this edge and it's this frenetic finish and everything, and that's the way they roll in, whether it's mental or whatever it is. Well, then the Sydney prelim final gets them ready even better because they're ready and going. But I would say, being a grand final, both teams are up for the contest. Both teams are physical, frenetic from the start. And if that's the case, then the easier run in has to help later in the game.
Later in the game, yeah.
It's only the start. It's only the first 10, 15 minutes of getting put back on your heels because you've had a softer lead in is the tiny worry. But if you push that aside and you're up for it, I think come late in the game, that slightly softer lead in's got to help.
Yeah, I agree. Surely it does. You played well, your confidence up, particularly some of those, lesser names we talked about have just played their best games of their careers almost.
Yep.
You're going to come to this game going, I'm in good nick.
Keep going here, Flea. SDK to Buddy, thoughts? You were the one who's had the best record on Buddy in history.
You are the only man who's beaten him.
Yes. Ever. Consistently, every single time.
Without fail.
Keep going.
De Koning to Buddy? He's had the big job every single time.
Yeah, I think so. I don't see another matchup down back for the...
Henry?
Well, Henry could, but...
Yeah, he's 200 centimetres. I think it's a like for like there.
What about sorry to jump in, what if Buddy starts hunting up the field? Like he likes to occasionally drop one. Is that where they quickly hand over and Henry will go with him?
I think that's where you wouldn't want to put a young player like De Koning in the situation where he's in two minds, whether to go into the stoppage or go up the field, and then he's doing something that he's not used to doing. So I think the changeover would happen then when Henry goes up. Plays him upfield.
I'm a little half annoyed, Buddy, because he'll go, who are you? Who's this kid? And the kid doesn't get flustered.
Does not get flustered.
So, and he'll be trying to, be Buddy, and the kid will just go,
And the other thing they'll do is they'll get a Blitzarves, they'll get a Stanley back in the space.
Yeah, he'll get
They defend the ground so well, Geelong.
Avi asks who goes to Tom Papley after his performance on Charlie Cameron. Is it as simple as Jed Buse?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I don't want my man, Zach Guthrie, my new favourite. He needs to just roll.
Yes.
How good is he?
How's that goal? The goal he set up from Hipwood's drop.
It is again, and we talk about this often, proof of people develop at different rates and
So
putting
who
the
goes to
time
Heaney?
into them. Maybe that's Zach Guthrie.
College
I think
Asney.
College Asney definitely in it for mine. Yeah.
Tell us what Zach Tui brings to the table. Tell us your favourite Reg story from
well,
Kev.
Podcast.
What does Reggie bring to the table?
Most of his podcast work is the favourite.
He certainly brings, to me, he brings a character to the team, but also a real hard edge of. Reggie's got the beautiful balance of he's fun and a good bloke and can have some chat and be a really laid back kind of good person to be around. But we're here to win and we're here to be better and we're here to.
But
really
his decision making and kicking is underrated. Like, he sets up a lot of stuff.
Unbelievable. And long kick.
Yes.
Long kick. Like, he breaks a line, he gets it over another 5 or 10 metres.
No, he's found his niche again.
The other thing he does really well is in traffic, he finds a release mark when he's under pressure. Like, you watch him in that prelim on the weekend, he's in traffic, he looks like he may get caught, then he just quickly fires out.
You're right. If someone has to be bowled over, Reg will do it on Saturday.
I think he enjoys that, doesn't
Very
he?
much so.
Yeah. Let's take another break. We've promised Shaun Grigg, if he doesn't show, I'm going to have some more questions for you too.
Oh.
They are in a team meeting, so it's fine if he doesn't show because they have much more important things than coming and talking to us. But let's how I'll tease this. We might have Shaun Grigg up next. Welcome back. It is great to have you with us on to the final bell brought to you by Lake Imaging. Now, you'll notice that Tommy Lonergan won't be a part of this next little bit. He had to run off. He's got very, very important things to do. We are recording this slightly out of order only because our next guest has been kind enough to head out of a team meeting and come and have a chat to us. One of our favourites here on the podcast, Scotty. Shaun Grigg, assistant coach at the Cats, is with us. Grigger, hello.
Lingy, Scotty, thanks for having me
There
again.
you go. Mr. September, they call you downstairs, I believe. This is your go. Grand finals, prelims,
I've been very lucky, yeah.
play, assistant coach.
Last 6 years in a row, yeah.
Six.
I've made at least the prelim, so 4 grannies and a couple of flags. So hopefully to add one more. After last week, under 9s soccer grand final win for my son too.
Well, and let me paint
They
the
play
picture.
a press.
there.
What did you?
No, this is the grand final. This is under 9s.
I hope not
8
every kid got on. I hope you went hardcore.
8-8 is the score at full time. I think it was
8-8?
8-8. It's
Where's the
indoor
defensive
soccer. No,
structures?
indoor soccer.
Oh, okay.
It pings around a little bit. We're all thinking, oh, well, in modern times, everyone gets a medal. No, penalty shootout to decide it.
How old are they?
Under 9s. You know who steps up to be goalkeeper for one of the teams? Young Sonny Grigg.
Just said I'll take this
Said,
on.
I'll be the goalie. He's been terrific all year. 5 shots each. Still level. Goes to sudden death. Penalty shootout. Sonny Grigg stands up, makes the big save. Next kid on his team nails the goal. There's the win.
Pandemonium.
Premiership.
The big save was the ball getting kicked straight into him.
I love that.
Yeah, it was. That was a nice win. Yeah, it was good.
It was that.
Set the tone.
I was standing behind you, and no doubt you're nervous as you're in the coaching box, and when you're playing, I'm sure you had your nerves. But there's nothing worse than being a parent and having no control over your son's happiness. You were fairly tense.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Yeah, you obviously have no control over it, and just fingers crossed that everything pans out okay. It's a tough one to try and explain to a 9-year-old that they don't matter. But yeah, it went our way, which was nice.
So now you've got that out of your way, you can focus on the big grand final this week. How are your nerves early in the week? Are you okay?
No, I'm actually all right as a coach. As a player, it was a bit more nervy, obviously, but. No, I think we're well prepared. We've had a really good couple of finals. We've improved our game again. That's one thing that we've been looking to do is just continually improve our game, not set a ceiling on it. So the way we played against Brisbane was a touch better against than the Pies 2 weeks earlier. So one more to go.
We've spoken earlier. I mean, Max Holmes, everyone's talking about him. We saw him run a couple of laps, and I was shocked, like everyone, Friday night. It's like, no, it's not strain. He could be good. How is he? And what's your gut feel?
Yeah, he's up and about. Obviously it's good to know that he hasn't been ruled out just yet. So that's a positive. So yeah, at the moment it's a day by day program. So our medical team and fitness staff have been unbelievable all year with the plans that they've had for not only Max but every player. We've seen Danger and Joel and Jezza. The planning they've put in has been outstanding. So we'll put our faith in them, and we'll have our main training Wednesday, and we'll go from there.
You've got the tough decisions with selection. You'll sit down later in the week. So you'll have Max Holmes, I assume, constantly floating there as he might be in. And if he's not in, okay, this player might come in. But with other players who are either feeling like, oh, am I in? Or those who may not definitely be in, do you try and have conversations with them as early in the week as possible?
Yeah, you do. And players they're pretty smart about it too. They're trying to work out grand final tickets and, family flying in and out and, what's the message for them. So, yeah, it's really hard for us, with Max at the moment, day by day. We just don't know how that's going to play out. So, yeah, we've got a number of guys that have played well for us throughout the year and we'd be happy enough to come into the team. But, yeah, as coaches, we've got to be well planned and well prepared for that.
And now Sydney, Brisbane was an amazing game. As you said, it all clicked. What's Sydney bring? You played him in round 2. It was the buddy night. That was always going to get a bit out of control. I sort of put that asterisk, let that one go. They were very impressive and they're young. What when you look at Sydney, what do you think about?
Yeah, I think the second half of the year in particular, their pressure's gone right through the roof. They've really bought into that part of the game and highlighted it. So for us, that's going to be a real challenge handling that, but also putting our own pressure on Sydney too. So they've got a number of weapons across the field. Their forward line's really dangerous. Their defence is really settled and can intercept as well with the McCartan boys. And, their midfield, like you said, they're young and rock hard fit. So, for us, we've got challenges everywhere, but, we're really confident that our game stands up. And if we can produce even better than what we did against Brisbane, we're a shot.
We've seen examples probably from both teams of a club that stayed really strong to improving throughout the year, because I reckon there was a moment where Port Adelaide might have beaten Sydney and then a couple of weeks later Essendon beat Sydney and us on the outside are saying, oh, gee, I don't know about Sydney. Whereas internally I'm sure they were like, no, we're on a progression. Same for the Cats. I remember I freely spoke about it walking away from the St Kilda game earlier on in the year at Marvel. Saints got a hold of you through the middle of the ground, their outside spread, all of this, thinking, oh, hang on, what's going on with the Cats? And, gee, the Saints look great. Can you talk through the ability to shut out outside noise and clueless people like me who are just watching and not sure what's going on at training and the progression of these players, to shut that out and saying, yep, we will be fine if we keep on this trajectory of improvement and actually getting it done?
Yeah, you're 100% right. We've sort of got different jobs, the media and the coaches, obviously, so we don't really buy into that or read into too much of that. It's just chalk and cheese what we're trying to do. So for us, it's been, that pathway of continual improvement right since we got back in October and wanted to change things up a little bit. So we're not perfect. We don't think we are, but we think that we've improved significantly, and we still think we've got a lot of improvement in us. So for us, it's just being hard on training that, reviewing that, and rewarding it for the players to give them confidence and evidence that when we play like that, we're hard to stop, and it's finals like football.
How important is it? Lesser names is wrong, but they are. Myers, Kolodjasny, these guys have Zach Guthrie playing elite football in finals, the confidence. You've been in their shoes. What would that bring for them leading into their first granny or second granny? Yeah,
you're right, Scotty. It's just that confidence and belief that when they play their role, that's enough, and they're worthy. Yeah. They're worthy of the spot in the team, and they know that by playing their role, that they're helping someone else and helping their team. So, we've had sort of a mantra all year about playing to your strengths and bringing those things to the table and ultimately helping someone else. So, those guys are comfortable in their roles. They know exactly what they have to do, and they're going out and doing it.
You're a few years into your coaching caper now, Grigger, and as you've said, you've been involved at really the pointy end of things for all of those years. You enjoy it? You love the coaching side of things? Yeah, I have. I've enjoyed it probably more than what I thought I was going to. You always get worried about, the coding and the hours and all that sort of stuff. But for me, I genuinely love it. I love helping players improve, and lucky enough in the back end of my career to taste a bit of success, and I just want others to feel that as well. As you know, Ling, it's a pretty addictive feeling. Once you've done it once, you just want it more and more. So I just want to experience that for others, and I'm just grateful that I'm here and along on the journey, and we're involved. How do you go at the coding side of things? That's always something that's done my head in too, Scotty. I'll be the old one-finger typer sort of thing. I actually enjoy it because you're working so closely with these players every day, and you pick up little things that you're working on or what they're trying to do as an individual, and you get some satisfaction when you see that stuff come out. So
I enjoy watching the players learning and growing, and we've got such a fantastic group of players that a great mix of experience and youth that are coming along for the ride.
The coding of what happened to Lachie Neale would have been very good to cut. I mean, you went by committee with Atkins more than, but everyone had their little way. Is there anyone in the Sydney midfield, will you operate in a similar vein on a target for Sydney?
We'll have a look at it. Yeah, Lachie Neale's obviously a quality player and was up there in the Brownlow last night. So for us, it's been about that mantra all year of sharing the load, particularly around that midfield group. We've seen guys come in and out, and it's been a real positive for us, not just to lean on one or two guys. The guys of Atkins, Guthrie, Blitzarves, like you mentioned, they add a different dimension. And then we've got the luxury of throwing Dangerfield and Selwood at some teams as well. So we saw Danger on the weekend. Amazing through the whole game. We saw Joel probably, for me, he was probably best on ground in the second half of the first final.
Grigg, we really appreciate you jumping out of a team meeting. No doubt you're going to have a few meetings this week because of some of those selection issues. The medical staff are going to earn their paycheck this week, Scotty, with a couple of calls there. Enjoy the week. Have a as good a time, I suppose, as you possibly can in the build-up to this one, and then all the very best on grand final day. It'll be an amazing occasion. The two best teams when you think of form coming into this one.
15 straight and 9 straight.
Yeah,
That's not bad.
So they've both demonstrated a real commitment to improve and some high-end football. It'll be a cracking game. As much as you can enjoy it, all the very best.
Yeah, thanks. And just want to shout out to all the supporters getting to the ground today at training. It was unbelievable, the atmosphere they created. The boys were talking about it over a lunch, just gave them a pep up, and for everyone to enjoy the week, that's what it's about. So thanks for coming
And they
out.
loved the media day, so that was great.
Did young Sonny and Spence come down and have a run around?
They did. They had a run around the oval in their Geelong jumpers. The old Tiger jumpers are well and truly gone.
Got rid of it.
What numbers? What do they run with?
They like Blitzarves and Close. Up in the 40s. Yeah.
Oh, hang on. We don't like closest number.
Stengel's a little favourite too. The boys had a relationship with Tyson when we were at Richmond, so they've followed him as well.
I don't think 45 needs to be getting shown too much, Grigger.
Tommy Hawkins let me know all about it the other day. He said, gee, there's a lot of 45s getting around and they're all on new jumpers.
long sleeves.
Now, all the very best, Grigger. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, gents.
Well, that's it. We better get out of here. We've had a terrific day. The open training session, the media day. It's now just about the build-up for the big game. Domsy, thank you so much for joining us again right throughout the year. How are you going to be spending grand final day?
I'll be there, Cameron, probably next to you or in the vicinity, and we'll...
I don't think you'll have as good a seats as Cameron, but good luck.
We might need a little crispy ale together at some stage,
I think we'll definitely have a few of them. Whether they win or lose, we'll be having a few of them. But
get the boys together.
Yes, there's a few of us going up, and it should be a great day, and looking forward to it. Cats win by 5 goals.
Oh, I like it,
that's what I
Domsy.
like.
Enjoy the day. Have a wonderful time. Scotty, you'll be there as well as part of the media crew.
I'll be working away on the typewriter, so very excited.
Well, you enjoy your day as well.
I will
Thank
be.
you for everything. Thank you
Cats.
for coming back from the Greek islands and
Pleasure to be here.
joining us.
Hands faded,
Gonna have
that's
to
okay.
get some stories at some point.
Enjoy the week, Cats fans. Enjoy the day, grand final day this Saturday against the Sydney Swans. My tip is the Cats as well, of course, by about 15 points. I think there'll be some tense moments there. As I said before, Tommy Stewart to win the Norm Smith medal. But enjoy the day. Hope the Cats get a win, and we are all celebrating back here at GMHBA Stadium for the giant family day on the Sunday, and there's parties galore. Go Cats.
Go Cats.